It says ready to go live. Well, hello and welcome to the PMQ live update for today, which is March 22nd. We are 2 days shy of National Cocktail Day, which is why I have my next special guest, Miss Margherita Carrieri-Russo of V&M Bistro up in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes.
why don't you go ahead and say hello to the world, Margherita, and tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name is Margherita Carrieri-Russo. I'm the third generation owner of V&M Bistro here in Wilmington, Delaware. I also own an ice cream shop with my family. And just a little fun fact about me, I do love my arts as well as mixing up some great cocktails.
That's great. And I see here we've also, we have one of our guys, Miguel Soares from Luxembourg. So you're international right now.
Oh,
He
wow.
is from Luxembourg, Europe, and he tunes in all the time. We love you, Miguel. Thank you so much. But we're going to be talking today about, Miguel, about some pairings that you can do with cocktails and, some of the flavors that you have in your restaurant. So, at a certain time, I might actually have to go back to this pulled out kind of perspective so that we can see everything on Margherita's table because she's an artist. She needs a big canvas.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Lots of fun things for us today.
Absolutely, yeah. We are super excited right now. So, I just want to let everybody know you can ask your questions here live through the comments on Facebook. We'll get to them as Margherita is mixing it. She's a professional bartender, or mixologist, I should say. She knows how to interact with people as we're talking. So, but past that, we kind of want to get into everything that's actually going on here. So, again, you work with V&M Bistro. Why don't you give us just about a brief 1 minute, 2 minute history about you, your sister? I mean, I know the story. Let everybody else know the story real quick.
Well, so my sister and I are third generation owners. We have owned V&M Bistro for almost 6 years now. And this is a wonderful, wonderful restaurant. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, things have been a little bit different, but we can still make cocktails to go. So that means a lot to us. That's very important. Our to-go cocktails are just as good as if you were getting them in the restaurant with your experience. And we've done a few other things. We've brought on some Boozy Ice Cream, which is really fun. You get your sweet treat at the end of the night, plus a little extra kick. But I love the fact that I get to be here today with you, especially for this week, that it is National Cocktail Day this week. What better way than to mix up some cocktails for everyone at home? And the goal is you should have these ingredients in your house. And if you don't, it's okay, or you can find variations of them. We have cocktails that we make our own ingredients. You don't have to. You can go to the store and buy them. That's the beauty of bartending. And being a mixologist, my favorite part is learning the history. It's not just putting things inside of a drink and serving it. It's the background of that cocktail, the history that makes this drink, because every drink started somewhere, mainly started in a bar. So the stories get a little fuzzy for a while because, what are they doing in that bar but other than drinking?
Right. Well, and you know what? Just one more question before we get into the actual fun of this. This is going to be mostly a demo for you guys. It's going to be really fun. The worst part about it is that you don't get to sample the products being made. But, what is the importance of pairing cocktails with dishes in a pizzeria? I mean, do you have to do that, or should you just kind of focus on a drink menu and then a food menu separate? Or what's the benefit of actually pairing the two?
You have to do them together because that's the whole part of the experience. When you come into our restaurant, you're not only getting a phenomenal meal, but you're going to get a great cocktail that pairs with it. That's what makes each dish and each cocktail better. That's where I come in. I love coming up with these individual cocktails that really set us apart and also pair well with some amazing food. You can take a cocktail that not only starts at the beginning of the meal, but finds a way to work its way to the end. But I don't want to give away too many fun things we're going to talk about today. But that really is what makes a meal. When you have, just like they say, a good glass of wine can make or break a delicious steak or a pasta dish. Same thing goes for cocktails. You can't let them just think they're just quick drinks and they're done. No, they have stories behind them.
All right. Well, I guess at this point, without further ado, we kind of want to jump into, we're going to be doing like a 3-camera angle on this one. So guys, please follow along with us because this is a first for the PMQ live updates. And I'm really happy to share this with V&M Bistro. They've been a big part of like getting this going. So we want to make some drinks. So Margherita, what are we going to be doing here at this point?
So our first cocktail is our signature cocktail, which is the Limoncello Ice Martini. This has made us since day one. It's probably one of my favorite because it has a lot of fun to it. It goes from the beginning of the meal to the end because it is limoncello. Beauty of limoncello is it cleanses your palate. So you can start with an appetizer, get into your entree, which I prefer a delicious margherita pizza. Mainly has a beautiful name, but the basil fresh mozzarella, which is what we make here. We make our fresh mozzarella in-house. That makes that dish. And then pairing it with this awesome cocktail, it is amazing. You ready to get started?
All right. So, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. We're going to add another stream here real quick. I'm going to try to remove,
they're going to be able to see it. So first things first, folks, take your shaker tin. Mine already comes with a strainer. If you don't, you can buy them separately. But first, get some good on ice in there. Fill up your shaker tin, just like so. And then we get started with the good stuff. So we've got vodka to begin. 2 ounces. I am using a jigger that already is set for 2 ounces. If you don't have one, you can eyeball it. If you learned how to count using a speed pour, go right on ahead. Get all that goodness in there. Now we make our limoncello here in-house. You don't have to. You can buy it from the grocery store. Just as good. I don't, secret folks, it says 4 to 5 ounces. I don't measure this part. Eyeball it. Makes it better. So keep going.
Well, I tell you what, after that, let me, after you pour that, let me just show this here real quick. I did forget that I just made this all morning. So, here's the actual recipe that you guys can follow. 2 ounces of vodka, 4 to 5 ounces limoncello. Made in-house, made out of house, doesn't matter necessarily. 2 to 3 scoops of lemon ice and 1 lemon wheel. So you buy a lemon, you cut it, and then cut it in twain. And then you pair with your classic margarita. So coming back to you. All right, Margherita, continue.
All righty. So we've got our vodka, our limoncello, and our ice all in our shaker tin. Now comes the fun part. We got to shake it up. We got to have a nice cold cocktail. This is really good on those nice warm days that are coming. I can feel them, can't you? I'm going to be sitting outside having ice cream. Ooh, this is the best time. So now let's get our lemon ice. 2 to 3 scoops depending on your cocktail glass. We are using a martini glass. I have seen people put them in a nice Tom Collins glass if they're sitting on the beach. Works just as good. So 2-3 scoops. I like 3 because I like my cocktail to last a little bit longer. This is the drink we like to say that keeps on giving. So we're almost ready. Got your spoon. Don't forget that, very important. Here we are. We get right in here for this camera. And right now, folks, you have our first cocktail of the afternoon, a limoncello ice martini. Now, there's still more in this shaker tin. Like I said, this is the cocktail that keeps on giving. When you finish this, keep pouring. It doesn't stop. So here we are. Let's take a look.
All right. So we've got that, but that's going to be pairing along with what we have as far as we're talking about just the regular margarita.
Now, this cocktail you can also use as an appetizer for an aperitif. It is very good for those options of mussels, clams. The lemon ice cleanses your palate in between each course. So if you wanted to start with, say, an appetizer, still have some left, you could go right on into your salad or soup, and it would still fit perfectly. And if it just so happens to make it to dessert, you have dessert all in one.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. It seems like a dessert kind of thing, dessert for the main course, but it kind of it'll ride through the whole meal basically.
Yes, so we've made variations of this one over the years. We've made a cherry cello. We've made some sweeter than others, but being that it is limoncello with lemon ice, it doesn't come off super sweet, and that's the key thing. You don't want to make it too sweet, or then you have created that dessert cocktail, which sometimes you don't want to enjoy with the pizza. Maybe you want to save that for the end, but this is just really good with a slice of pizza, especially Margherita pizza. That fresh basil notes with the fresh limoncello really brings it to another level. And that's the key thing, is it pairs well. It doesn't overpower one or the other. You're not getting any sweet chocolate notes that may take over that pizza. Won't even do it. It just perfectly matches.
All right, so just real quick, one recap. I'm going to put this up here on the side for us. Let me see here real quick. Trying to share my screen.
Okay. No, this is awesome.
There we go. Just kind of go through it real quick again, one more time.
So
just the recipe.
Yeah, no worries. Start off with your shaker tin. That's the key thing. If you don't have a shaker tin, you can build it right inside of a glass and strain it. Your 2 ounces of vodka, 4 to 5 ounces of limoncello, depending on the size of your martini glass. That will change with the variation of each cocktail glass. 2 to 3 scoops. Like I said, I prefer that extra scoop of lemon because I do want to make my cocktail last a little bit longer. Beautiful lemon wheel. And don't forget, most important weapon is your spoon, because you want to get in there for that lemon ice as you're sipping. It's kind of got a dual action to it.
Well, I love that. That's great. So we're going to move on to our second drink here. What's the second one you guys have for us today?
Second cocktail today is my real go-to favorite for any time I'm going out. I need this one. This is a V&M Dirty. And the reason why we say V&M Dirty is because there's lots of olive juice in there. If you think you've put enough, you have not put enough olive juice. That is my biggest thing when it comes to a V&M Dirty. So as we're getting ready for our V&M Dirty, take your vodka preference. It all depends, variations on your vodka. You can use anything from a Grey Goose to Kettle. I use Stateside. I have all different kinds. But the key thing is get a vodka you prefer, especially one that doesn't have any sugar or sweet notes in it. But the reason why this one pairs really, really well with that La Vincenza, and not many of you may know what a La Vincenza is. So for us here at V&M Bistro, La Vincenza is similar to a Margherita. You start with your traditional pizza crust, your sauce, fresh mozzarella, but the trick is when it comes out of the oven, fresh arugula and prosciutto. So you have that saltiness from the prosciutto as it's warming up right on top of the pizza, which pairs really well with these blue cheese stuffed olives, because everyone knows a very good martini always needs some saltiness to be a dirty martini. That's what makes a V&M Dirty, or any dirty martini in general. It's the saltiness from the olive juice that makes or breaks it. So we add.
Absolutely. I typically go for filthy because, you can almost substitute olive juice for vodka for me. You're saying that the prosciutto kind of complements that really well.
Brings out that saltiness flavor because prosciutto naturally has the salt taste to it, but you're not cooking it. You're just warming up the prosciutto. That's what makes that different. If we were to cook the prosciutto, it would be too salty to pair up with your V&M Dirty. So as we're making this V&M Dirty, start off with your shaker tin again. I know we kind of went a little bit into the photos, but in case anyone missed it, grab your shaker tin, ice, 3 ounces of vodka. Make sure you don't skimp on that vodka. So V&M Dirty has to get vodka in there. Now, like I said, hefty portion. You can do as much as you'd like. I prefer mine, like Brian said, filthy. Dirty, you got it. Go in there and don't stop until you think you've had enough. Here's the thing. Folks at home, if you don't know if you like it, put a little bit. You can always add more. I always tell people when I'm making cocktails, the key thing is you can always add more. You can never take back once you've already put it in there. If you add a little bit, take a sip. You want more? Throw a little bit more in there. Now, dry vermouth, says ½ ounce, give or take. Usually it's just a little dollop and you're done. Don't go overboard with this one. It gets a little bit too much if you do. Key thing to go overboard, olive juice. All right, folks, you know what time it is? It's shaking time. Now, I am sitting down. So most bartenders, and I am one that will always say this, you should be standing. However, for purposes of the video footage today, just so we could get all the fun angles, I had to be sitting to do this this live stream. But usually a bartender will always be standing. You can samba, salsa. Let me see you shake it, because that's what I like to do. If there's really fun music on, shake with it. Have fun with it. That's the best part about this. And before we pour, blue cheese stuffed olives. You don't have to use blue cheese. I've had people put gorgonzola cheese. I've had almonds in my gorgonzola cheese stuffed olives. Gives it a little bit more of a nuttier flavor. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this at home on the video, but if you notice, it's got a little bit of a cloudy look to it.
Yeah, put it up to the side camera.
There you go.
Up right there. You can see. We can totally see that.
Let me get all these.
You're fine. Just lift it up. Just lift it up.
There you go. So you see how it gives off that cloudy look? That A comes off from the olive juice. But when you shake a good martini should have little ice crystals inside, gives it that cloudy look. Now, if you're making a V&M dirty, say with gin, never shake a cocktail. You'll bruise the gin. Gin has a different texture variation than vodka will. And that's really where it comes down to. Hence, you'll see people say a vodka martini or a gin martini makes a difference when you're mixing. Gin, you should never mix. If you ever get a gin martini and it's cloudy, send it back. They bruised your gin. It will not be the same. Vodka?
Okay. Well,
yes.
All right. So just I need to ask you. I don't want to remove the second camera here because I grew up as a Bond fan. It's like gin martini shaken, not stirred.
Yes.
What is the preferred method? Because I've heard shaken is not necessarily better versus stirred because of how it dilutes the water or the ice into the actual drink. What is your preference?
Well, like I said, if I'm going to have a gin martini, I would like it stirred. I do not want my gin martini shaken. Gin is never meant to be shaken. It bruises. And what happens is the botanicals and the flavors inside of that gin will stay quiet. It's almost like a good glass of wine. When you let a wine breathe, you start to open up those beautiful notes of cherries and all those aromatic flavors. Same thing with gin. If you bruise the gin, you close the gin off to all those different botanicals. Some gins have almost 47 different botanicals from the Black Forest in Germany. And if you shake them, you'll lose all those different flavors. However, with vodka does not have any of those little hints of botanicals. Vodka is a straight grain, usually most of the time. So it's okay to shake it and give you those ice crystals. Vodka is meant to be cold when drinking. So the colder it is, the smoother that will feel as you're enjoying your cocktail.
Okay. Is there any kind of sciences as far as like how you infuse it between like a regular olive or a blue cheese olive? Is gin better to actually absorb those flavors versus a vodka martini?
So really it comes down to your preference. Gin is, most people would say, would be more of a harsher spirit than vodka. Vodka can become very smooth, whereas gin has more of a bite or harshness to the mouthfeel, and that's where people make or break their cocktails. If you want something on a smoother mouthfeel, the vodka martini is the best way to do it. If you're okay with that little bit of bite or burn, usually gin has those hints to it or those botanical flavors where you'll get. I have one brand of gin that I absolutely love. It's called Monkey 47. I call it the Dr. Pepper of gin. You don't do anything to it, but drink it stirred, because every sip gets a different botanical taste to it. And that's the beauty of gin, is there are other notes other than just a grain per se in a vodka, where it's just a simple solid grain, whether it's a potato grain, corn grain, wheat. Vodka is very simple. Gin has more love to it, in essence, where it's a little bit more complex. And when you're making your martinis with gin, usually you don't put the olive juice. They'll just put an olive in it because they want you to enjoy the actual craft of making gin. Where vodka is one of the first spirits that was meant to actually be mixed into things. It's what became, the new rum back in the 1800s of punch years, where they used to just make punches, and that was the cocktail of the bar scene. No one knew how to make a cocktail back then because it was all burning and fiery going, no flavor, no sugar. So they came up with the vodka to come out as a counterpart to that. And by countering part it, they made us a smoother, clean, refreshing cocktail to work with. And hence why I will always prefer a dirty martini made with vodka, unless I'm just going to have a straight up gin on the rocks. That's all I want.
I just got educated. There we go. Now it's a vodka martini. It sounds good for me.
It's okay.
Vodka martini for mini. So, but I did want to ask you about the La Vincenza one more time real quick. I know it kind of paired with the saltiness of the prosciutto, but I mean, what's the La Vincenza at V&M Bistro? What does that entail?
So again, a La Vincenza is our traditional based pizza with the fresh tomato sauce, fresh mozzarella, and then after it's come out of the oven, we add the arugula and fresh prosciutto on top. The prosciutto is not meant to be cooked. It'll release too much saltiness to the pizza and it will be overpowered by a V&M dirty. Whereas if you put it on raw on top, pairs perfectly well while you're enjoying your V&M dirty. That saltiness in both the prosciutto and the olive juice with the blue cheese stuffed olives pairs nicely.
Very good. I love the pairing of this with the drinks. I mean, there's definitely a lot of, I don't want to say science, but a lot of thought that going into actually what you're trying to put together. You don't want to overpower one flavor, but it has to complement itself.
Everything
all right.
To pair. That's the key thing. It's supposed to be a good pairing. Nothing is meant to be stronger than the other. And sometimes you can enjoy this even with dinner. You don't even need a pizza. You can enjoy it as dessert, appetizer. I know a lot of people that like to start off their day as soon as they come out to the bar. V&M dirty martini, that's their beginning of the day. I will never say no to them.
All right, so we want to jump over to our, our last one, which is one that I was very excited to hear about.
Yes,
we're talking about the blood orange old fashioned with the pepperoni Sicilian, which has been misspelled, so I'm going to take that down. But go ahead.
No worries. So, old fashioned. This is probably one of my favorite cocktails I ever learned when I was in mixology school. This has so much history behind it because back when whiskey was made and bourbon and all forms of spirits, they were harsh, they were fiery, they were never good to drink. Usually that's why when you see old Western films, they're just doing shots of them. You can't sip on it. So old fashioned came out mainly, I want to say, in LA, because LA was the big golden era when all of the gold mines were being found. LA had the fanciest bars. So they came up with the old fashioned, if my memory serves me. And the beauty of the old fashioned was it was to cut back on these harsh spirits, because now going to the bar wasn't just quick doing a shot. They were making the bar scene what it is today. LA started the real bar scene, what we call modern bar socials, and going out to a bar and actually enjoying a cocktail. This was one of the first drinks that I love to make because it is history in itself. You've got all different parts. So let's get started. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to grab all my good stuff to make everything because this one gets a lot of love.
Well, I like how you said that this one was, it's one of those things where it's the Old West. You see them, they come in there and they're like, whiskey, sarsaparilla, and they just take it.
And
this is where the bartenders started saying, I need to make more money. I need to keep them here longer. I can't just give them all of it all at once. So it's kind of like the early story of like mixed drinks.
Correct. That's why hence old fashioned in the name. It is one of the oldest drinks. Now, like I said in the beginning, there's no real date or time when a drink was ever made because they're all made in bars and everyone usually drinks when they make them. So there's no real timeline yet. But start off with your simple rocks glass. That's the key thing. No ice, no anything inside. Now we're using a blood orange. So if anyone needs to know the difference, we have oranges and blood oranges. So they should be darker in the skin. That's the key thing. That's how you know you've got a blood orange, because it will give a different flavor. And this is the best part about them, is they don't have as much of a sweetness to them. I I'm gonna show you how I like to get my sweetness in my old fashioned. So right now I've already cut them up. You're gonna take a half, and you're gonna cut it.
Hold another one of those up close to the side cam real quick. And I do want to let everybody else know, ask some questions here if you have anything about
try to get the light
any questions about cocktail pairings and stuff like that. No, just pick one up and put it right in front of the camera.
Okay.
Just do that.
How's that?
You can see, yeah, that's what you need with the blood orange is you get that red. It's less orange and it's more red, hence the name. So
there you go. We got a nice
beautiful. Yes.
One. So you're going to slice half of an orange and just quarter it. I don't like to put too much orange because that's not the point of this cocktail. I still want my whiskey or my bourbon to be the main point of this. So, but it's there to also add some flavor. Now, when I said that the old cocktails were burning with fire, they used to put a sugar packet, which you'll see is optional. I actually like to use the juice from my cherries. So these are Amarena cherries. You can use traditional maraschino cherries, but these have a little bit of a sweeter taste. So I don't have to add that sugar packet at the end. I just do a nice little spoonful right there. Get all that goodness in there.
Okay, so you put basically a spoonful of cherry juice.
Mm-hmm. Give or take, depending on the sweetness that you want to have. I like mine a little bit sweeter. Now for your bitters, there's traditional bitters. I like to use orange bitters. Changes up that flavor, gives it a distinct taste to it. Because everyone has bitters, and bitters are wonderful because they tone down the bite. That was the key thing when it came to bitters. They tone down bite. So 2 dashes of bitters. That's it. Don't do any more. If you get crazy, put it down. Just put the bottle down. Don't go crazy. I've seen bartenders and they'll just keep going. Don't do that. Hands up.
Walk away. No, that's for sure. You're killing it. Stop.
It should last you a while. You shouldn't go through it too fast. Handy dandy muddler now. So I just like to break my cherry a little bit. This is mainly for the orange. So you start to release all the juices from the orange. So I'm trying to get you in here. And I just break my cherry. Oh, so you can see it's now flat. Everything's kind of mixed all in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of want to mix it. All right. Sorry. All right. Final, we have sweet vermouth. Like I said, this is only about 1 ounce. You can eyeball it. You do not need a lot of sweetness. Remember, I added my sweetness with my cherry juice. So if I wanted to remove this, I could. But if you want to still get a little bit of that sweet vermouth, go right on in. That's it. Just a touch. Put it back. Like I said, you shouldn't be going crazy with this one too. And finally, good old whiskey. Now this is a Kentucky straight bourbon. And the fun fact about bourbon is in order to be considered bourbon, it has to be made in the USA. It has to be more than 51% of the actual product has to be made with corn. The reason why it's made with corn is it's a sweeter taste. So bourbon naturally is meant to be sweeter, whereas whiskey in its essence is a very harsh burn and a rough taste. Bourbon, that's where you get that smooth sipping on bourbon. I like to use this one because it gives me a little bit of both. If you get your whiskey and you realize it's spelled, fun fact, Whiskey, that means your whiskey is made from the USA or Ireland. If you get whiskey that's spelled Whisky, your whiskey is either made from Canada or Scotland. Big difference, and it's just that's how things work in the world of whiskey and bourbons.
No, that was one question I had every time I try to type it out. So
yes,
I like that.
Where you come from?
Canada or Scotland, EY.
No, or Scotland, no E, just Y. America,
just Y.
America gets the E. Yeah, or Ireland. So Ireland. Here we go. Now we've got our good. Ooh, you can smell the whiskey as soon as it comes right on out. Ooh. So,
we could hear it from here too.
You can hear it. I'm getting excited now. I love doing a nice big ice cube when it comes to an old fashioned because I don't want to damage this. This is already nice and mixed up. Once you pour the whiskey in there, leave it as is. Do not shake it. I don't like when they shake it. If I wanted a shaken drink, I would have gotten a cocktail. This I want to build right on top. Now my ice cube has kind of melted since our conversation, so please don't mind the shape of my ice cube. It kind of got a little smaller while we were sitting here and chit-chatting away. So
my apologies. Yeah, hopefully everybody figures that out.
But I prefer one rocks in your old fashioned. You don't need a bunch of ice in there because we added that sweetness to it. You don't have to make it cold or as cold. I just prefer it a little bit on the colder side. Now, everyone at home, let's make a fun orange wheel. This is one of my favorite things to garnish things with. You can rim the glass, give it that little orange, blood orange hit. It looks beautiful on the rim. But if you want to learn how to make it at home, grab your fruit. It's real easy. You can use a peeler. Behind a bar, usually we don't always have a peeler, so we've learned to use the utensils we always have, which of course is our handy dandy knife. So I got my nice big old, you can even, I wish I could make you smell this beautiful blood orange through this camera. Oh, it's so good. So right before you go to serve,
we're working on the smell-o-vision. We're trying to figure that out. So
we'll get the taste and the smell eventually through these live streams. Twist it right on top of your cocktail. So if there's any juice inside of that rind, it's going to go right into your cocktail. Plus, it'll open up the aromas. Rim your cocktail with it. This is a fun trick. So, but even before you take a sip, you're going to start to begin to smell your cocktail. You'll smell this blood orange. Get it right on in there. And now, folks, you have a blood orange old fashioned. There we go. I think I caught it in the camera.
No, yeah. There you go. I know about the citrus that comes out where a lot of bartenders, they do the flare where they light it up as it, even from like an orange or a lemon where you can kind of light it up. Is there any kind of flare you can do on that with one of these? Not that I'm not saying you have to do that right now. I'm just saying that I love that you're taking the rinds and making it a garnish as well as adding flavor. Is there anything else you can do with a rind that would be any kind of flair?
So I've actually had people ask me to put them in martinis. They want a vodka martini with a lemon twist. So that lemon twist gives them that little bit of that bite that cuts the vodka. It's almost like splash of club soda. People ask with a vodka martini. That lemon will give them that little bit of a bite. So the rind also has a method behind it. It's not just for beauty or for look. It also does more to the cocktail. Gives you the aromatic flavor, and it will make you have that little bit of hint of sweetness, but not overpowering as if you were to cut the inside of the fruit out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I have to tell you, this is supposed to be paired with a delicious pepperoni Sicilian before I forget, because that's the number one thing when we're going to have a drink here at V&M Bistro. We're going to have one of our famous Sicilians. And this really speaks volumes for us because our Sicilians has what helped us get through this pandemic. So if I tell anyone to make an old fashioned, you have to have a pepperoni Sicilian. That nice, crunchy, thick crust with that little bit of that crunch on the oil on the bottom, almost like a focaccia style pizza. But then you add that pepperoni, so you have the salt, you have the heat, and then you add the blood orange for the sweetness. Almost like adding a little bit of fruit on top of a pizza, but we don't speak those words too much around here. You get it in a cocktail instead of on top of your pizza. That's the key thing.
All right. Well, yeah, no, you had that loaded, ready to go. I was getting ready to bring it up, but you brought it up for me. We did have several other, kind of recipes ready to go. We have a lot of different recipes that we can do with pairings and stuff like this. We wanted to do this as soon as we could for National Cocktail Day. And again, as I think Margherita said, you should have all this ready to go. She said in your home. You could be in your restaurant. I think if you have a really well-stocked home bar, yeah, you'd be ready to go. But I mean, as far as the three recipes we gave, they're not that hard. I think the hardest would be limoncello.
That is one of the harder of the two, mainly because if you would like to make your own limoncello or your own lemon ice, that's really what makes or breaks our cocktail here. But like I said, you can buy store bought. You can get the lemon ice from your local ice cream store, which is where we get ours from, which is also our ice cream store. Our lemon ice we make in-house. Not everyone has that luxury, and that's okay if you don't have it. Like I said, the beauty of cocktail making is whatever you have at home, that's what makes it art. Anyone can make a drink, but the beauty of becoming a mixologist is learning the knowledge and the history behind your drink. There's more to this than just putting things inside of a glass, shaking it up, and serving it. There's knowledge, there's history, there's science. Like in the old days when they had harsh whiskey, why did they add sugar? To make it easier for people to have it during dinner. Now, instead of, like I said, just going to the bar and taking shots of whiskey or rum or whatever your heart desires, now we've given you a cocktail that you can enjoy at dinner time, which made it more of a social scene, which brought us to the bar scene that we all know of today. Everyone goes to a bar and they enjoy a beverage. That wasn't always the case. So knowing that history and knowing that knowledge that there's more to this drink, this is an experience, this is taking you to a location. Yes. You're going to meet people, have conversations. And yes, right now throughout the pandemic, you can't do that here in our restaurant. But today, I'm helping you do it at home. So even if you want to Zoom with your friends, you can all go home and try and make it. It gives you that experience to go out and recreate this little bit of history that we all know of as an everyday thing.
Well, and I love that, like you said, even if you can't go out wherever you are, we're telling you how you can do it in your house. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, I don't think anything that you've said today as far as either drink recipes or pizza recipes that nobody can recreate in their homes. Mm-hmm. So I've put it up there, vnmbistro.com/welcome. I mean, these are all clickable links in the Facebook comments and the Facebook for VNM Bistro. You do have, and I keep forgetting to write this down, but you have an ice cream shop that you just opened, which you just mentioned.
Yes, we just opened.
Can you give me a link for that just real quick, like a website, so I can put it up there for everybody?
So if you want to go to our Instagram, the Instagram handle, it's Ice Cream Delight DE. And that's the best way to find us. One word, Ice Cream Delight DE. Key thing is that DE, since we are located in Delaware.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's the warm weather is coming. I'm ready. I want to take all these cocktails and wait for the warm weather to come so I can enjoy them outside. That's the beauty of all of this. But our ice cream store, we actually have been able to take that knowledge. So I've been able to take that knowledge of 16 years of owning an ice cream store with our family. I've now been able to pair that here in our restaurant, where we now serve what we call Boozy Ice Cream.
It was Boozy Ice Cream. I thought I just wrote that down as a random note. So Boozy Ice Cream.
Yes. So the Boozy Ice Cream takes not only my love for our ice cream store, but it takes my love for the craft of mixology. And now you put them into one little pint, and it's a really good pint to enjoy because we've got everything from your mint chocolate chip made with vodka. We have my new favorite, which is called Gin Ginger. This is a vanilla-based ice cream with ginger liqueur, gin, ginger snaps, fresh blueberries, and lemon zest. Something you would never think to put in ice cream, but that's where that beauty of the mixology courses and my certification in mixology made me realize an art form that I can take from, just like I said, making simple cocktails. Now I'm making really good ice cream that has a really good kick to it at the end of the day. So it's a sweet treat, and that's my favorite thing to do for people, just make their day.
Well, I love that. I mean, it's you're taking a couple passions and just kind of incorporating them together. And I mean, obviously all the ice creams aren't infused with booze.
Well,
you have some for the kids.
No, the ones here at the restaurant are. The ice cream store, that is a separate entity in itself. We just bring the ice cream here, and this is where I do all the fun stuff. Because with the alcohol being here, they're two separate entities. The nice part is the ice cream store is right behind us. So it is not far. If you need a quick milkshake, we got you. That's the beauty of having it so close. I've got both stores in an almost running distance. I can throw a baseball and hit the other one. So I like that fact.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. So, I don't necessarily need an alcohol infused ice cream. I've already had mine for the day. I want to have a good pizza. I want to have a good ice cream. I don't necessarily need to put them all together. One day it'll be the ice cream pizza infused alcohol. We'll figure it out.
Listen,
But
we can
past
eat pizza with ice cream on top, and then put the alcohol in the ice cream. It could be a game changer. Listen, we got to try.
all right. Yeah, I'm going to edit this part out because, this is, intellectual property at this point. But I want to get a final affirmation from you, Margherita. Just you being up there in Wilmington, Delaware, you guys have been close to some of the epicenters, and you've dealt with a lot of stuff that's going on. Just can you give us a good final affirmation for the rest of the industry? Maybe some positive words to make us all, we're coming out of this at this point. So
yes, we are, and that's what I tell not only to my family, my staff, and the customers. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. Hold on. Like we are strong in this industry. Us here in Delaware, we got hit really strong. And I know we're not the only restaurants that are going through our hardships and our turmoils. Everyone is. Everyone has something they are fighting for right now. But the key thing is keep fighting. Do not stop. If you have to pivot, you pivot. That is what we did. We recreated ourselves in less than 24 hours. My sister found out the news that we were going to have to shut our dining room, cancel all reservations until further notice. What did we do? We turned our place into a to-go pizza shop. Fine dining restaurant, seat down, it says full sit-down restaurant, full bar. Had to close it all in a matter of 24 hours. We pivoted, and that was the key thing, because our dad always told us, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You're always there. So that's the key thing. We made sure that when it was time to pivot, we pivoted. And when we had to keep pivoting throughout the entire pandemic this past year, we had to keep pivoting. We were trying new ideas every week. I have a love not only for mixology, my family's restaurant, our ice cream store. I've come up with my custom treats. I used to do them years ago. They're little sweet treats, I like to call them, that I'm now making, just so we can keep our doors open. If you have to keep changing, you keep changing. If you have to pivot, you keep pivoting. We do not give up in this industry. As restaurateurs and entrepreneurs, we don't understand the word quit or give up. That's not in our vocabulary. So if anyone else is out there that owns in a restaurant, a business, you're an entrepreneur, don't give up. This is going to be, we're going to get to the end. We're going to see that light at the end of the tunnel. If you have to pivot, you pivot. And when it doesn't work, try something new.
I love that. Yes, print it, send it out. We're good. That was a great, a great affirmation. And I appreciate you, your sister, and your father. Give my love to both Vincenza and Vincenzo.
They wish.
They're so much fun to work with. You guys are out there. You're putting forth the work for the industry. So, past that, all I have to say is, I want to thank you, Margherita, for coming on today and showing us some drink specialties. I honestly would like to, again, maybe every month, do some cocktail recipes. I want to, kind of push you to think about new combinations and new pairings. And I definitely want to push Vincenzo to get out of his chair. Same as me. I'm stuck in my chair all day. But Vincenzo, come on, man.
All right.
Give me some pizzas.
Yes, that's right. We'll get him there. But thank you, Brian, for having me and for even setting this up today. This was such a fun little change of my routine on a Monday to come together and show everyone how to make some really awesome cocktails. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And if you already made them, cheers, enjoy, have a beautiful Monday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you for joining in to the PMQ Live Update. We'll see you guys next time. But until then, stay safe and stay sane.
Thank you, Brian. Take care.